In ERPLY books, project can be any kind of cost or revenue center. Project can be a house, it can be a location, it can be a person, it can be a car, it can be a conference, it can be a country. It's any kind of dimension you need extra to the accounts, articles, customers and suppliers. All the transactions can be connected with projects, and every report has an option to see the projects. So when we want to see it overall, then I created a little map here. You can see these big boxes. Let's say that these are organizations. As you can see in ERPLY books, I have this company here, but I have many organizations in this list, meaning that all of them are different companies, and all of them I can see from my one user account. For example, if you have a holding company, then it's wise to add it in ERPLY books. And these under here, these are projects. As I said, project can be anything. So let's say that these are cars and these are locations here. And inside one location we have a separate house which we want to see inside the location. So meaning that this is a mother to this one, and this is a child to this big one. In ERPLY books you can see reports for one company or one project or multiple projects, or also multiple organizations together for consolidating purposes. But we are focusing on projects at the moment. As you can see that we can add a rule for mother and child, and as I said, every transaction can be connected to projects, meaning that it doesn't have to be connected to only one location. It can be connected to 2 locations, 3 projects, and so on. Okay, back to ERPLY books. Projects you can find in settings, initial data, and projects. Here is the list I have. You can see I have Sydney, Melbourne, and Canberra, for example. I've synchronized them from my POS settings. I've synchronized warehouses into projects. I have the case where in my demo account I have multiple warehouses, multiple locations. So for me, a project is a location. But let's say I'll also add a car Nissan here, which is not connected to any project, any location. It's just moving between different locations. And also let's add conference. Guys from Sydney office went to the conference, so we would like to make a rule that conference belongs to Sydney, meaning that whichever transaction I create for conference, I should also see this in Sydney's reports. So for this I have to enable the project main here. We have by default hidden this field, because otherwise users would think of this in a separate way. But here I'll just select Sydney, and now I've added a rule that conference belongs to Sydney. Now, as I said, any transaction can be connected to project. Whenever you add, for example, a purchase invoice, you can see a project here. Just select it, and it's also selected here. This is for simple transaction, meaning that we are adding all the expense 100% into Sydney. So let's say we have office supplier. So we bought some office supplies for 100 plus tax. So that's simple, 100 plus tax connected to Sydney. Now let's add an example when we want to split something. For example, marketing supplier, we get some kind of invoice number. We don't now select it here because we want to add separate rows for this. So let's add marketing. Let's say it was 1000 and we would like to split it between Melbourne and Sydney. So 50-50, 500, 500, and I'll just select Sydney and Melbourne. If you want, we can add a button here that is splitting automatically. For this you would have to write to us accounting.software@erply.com. Right now we split it the expense. That's also simple. But now let's make an example that the car Nissan broke down in Melbourne and we would like to see the expense for this car repair connected both to Melbourne and car. For this we cannot just split the expense. For this we have to enable in company configuration, we have to enable the multiple project selection. And now refresh the page. And now I can add this expense as I said, it's connected to Melbourne, and just select 2 of them. Or if you need 3 of them, 4 of them, and so on. For us, project doesn't have to be a location, as I said, it's just a dimension for us. And here I'm adding 2 dimensions. For example, if you would like to split Western Australia and Eastern Australia, then you can add another project for this. Right now I just added 2 of them. It can have until 30 of them. So there is plenty of room for them. So let's add car repair, some kind of invoice number, car repair. Now, whichever report I take, I can see project over there. If I go to aged receivables, you can see project. If I go to income sheet, I can see project here. If I split it, say selecting Melbourne, then you can see it is giving me these expenses. But I can take 2 projects together, or 3 or 4. Now, if I'm searching like this, then it's giving me all the transactions connected to Melbourne or Sydney. Now, let's say that you have a user that can only see Melbourne. No problem. In users, just add the user and select the project for him or her. Let's say you want to see all the transactions that are not in projects. No problem. Go to General Ledger and in the project field select not in projects. And then it is giving you only those transactions that are not in projects. Briefly, I've shown the main things how the projects work. I hope it was valuable. Thank you for watching.